Fine. So we start with the next topic in the forming process, that is about extrusion. So extrusion is another important process to make several products. So this is also a deformation based process based on plastically deforming the material and then imparting shape to it. So in extrusion, you see the examples of the products which are made. So these products which almost constant cross section areas. So their cross section area is almost constant. So these type of products are made using the extrusion process. So extrusion literally, the word in Latin, it means to force out. So this process is very much similar to push out toothpaste from the tube. So you see here, what here you imagine the toothpaste as the metal, and you are trying to squeeze it out from the toothpaste tube, and it takes the shape of this opening. So this opening becomes the opening of a die. So here also we have the role of a die. So this opening becomes of the die, it gives the final shape to this product. Now this opening of the die, this can be tailored or it can be modified to make different type of products. So this type of the die can be changed to make circular objects, square objects. You can make hexagonal objects. Okay, you can make this type of L sections, etc. Okay, so what exactly happens in extrusion? So in extrusion, basically there is an arrangement of a die and a ram. So die essentially has this opening here, and here work is basically here, this is the workpiece, also known as billet. So what happens that in this extrusion process, we place this workpiece in the cavity of the die. So sometimes this is also known as the chamber, in which the billet is placed, and then we apply compressive force. So basically the state of stress in extrusion is state of stress, it is triaxial compression, means it is compressive stress from all three directions. Triaxial compressive stresses are induced. So this basically starts when you apply force using this ram, and then compressive stresses, they start to build up. As the compressive stresses start to build up, the product first upsets, means the diameter increases, it is forced, pushed forward, and then it conforms to the internal cavity of the die. And as the stress value continues to increase, it finally starts to flow outside the cavity of this die. So if I plot this graph between ram position, this is ram position, and ram force. So this basically follows a trend like this. So it goes on increasing, and once it starts to just, you see, starts flowing, so the force reduces slightly, and it continues till the end of the stroke. So you can understand that finite length of the product can be made using this process. because the product is being made by the volume of the material provided through this billet. So this is basically the basics of the extrusion process. And again, this process can be done in cold working regime or in hot working regime. So in hot working regime, the process name changes to hot extrusion, and in case of cold working regime, it becomes cold extrusion. So almost we can make any hollow products also or solid products also. Please, spelling is solid. So die geometry, it remains same throughout the stroke of the extrusion process. And what is the peculiar characteristic of the extruded products is that they have a constant cross section area. So this is the main catch here. So if you talk of rolling, still again the cross section area is constant, but in that case you are essentially just reducing the thickness, increasing the length. So the reduction per in the process is not that high as high it is in the extrusion process, because in that the compressive stresses are not triaxial, maybe it is in a single direction. So in case of extrusion, it is a triaxial, means the stresses are being induced from all three directions. So the reduction in the shape or reduction in the volume is very high. So the unique characteristic of all these extruded products is that they have a constant cross-section area. So depending on the ductility of the material, so materials which are very ductile, they can be even handled in cold working regime, and which are not that ductile, for them we have the hot extrusion process designed for them. So these are some more examples of the products which are made using extrusion. So you can see different varieties of shapes which can be made using this process. Commonly used materials for extruded products include aluminium, copper, steel, plastics, lead, etc. So virtually all materials are possible, but the non-ferrous materials are more popular with this process. Nevertheless, the now with improved process technology, we can also extrude the ferrous materials as well. Now this extrusion process, it is of different types, means again we have some variety of variants in this process, which include direct extrusion, indirect extrusion, hydrostatic extrusion, then we have lateral extrusion, and lastly there is impact extrusion. So we will see some more details about each of this variant of the extrusion process. So we start with the direct extrusion process. So direct extrusion process is basically a process in which we have this arrangement of a pressing stem, which is mentioned here, which is also known as the ram. And then there is a dummy block which ensures the pressure is uniformly applied over the full billet. So billet here is the workpiece. And this is the die opening here as shown here. And you basically, what is being done here, the force is being applied by the ram, and once the material starts to flow plastically, it extrudes through the die opening. Now the unique characteristic of this process is that the direction of movement of the ram, so this direction and direction of movement of the extruded product is same. The downside of this direct extrusion process is that as you press the billet by applying force through the ram, so the friction between the surface of the billet is and the internal this lining of the container is very high. So this means there is loss of energy, significant loss of energy because of this friction between the billet surface and the container lining. So the advantage of this process at the same time is it is very simple to proceed with. So since the direction of the extruded product and the direction of movement of the ram is same. So this is also known as the forward extrusion process because the product moves in the forward direction. So another name of this process is forward extrusion. So billet is forced by a hydraulically driven ram and direction is same that I have already mentioned. And since there is a lot of energy loss because of the friction between the billet and the die walls, so this is the downside of this process. The next variant of the extrusion process is the indirect extrusion. So in indirect extrusion, it is also known as backward extrusion. So we have the dummy block, and this time the billet is not moving. Instead, the die is moving towards the billet. So the dummy block is basically holding the billet stationary here, and the die is basically moving towards the billet. And as the die moves towards the billet, it again applies the pressure and compressive stresses are developed, which force the extruded product through the opening of this die, which is we can consider as a hollow die. So in this case, the direction of the movement of the die, okay, and the direction of the movement of the extruded product is opposite. In the previous case, both the movements were in the same direction, but in this case, they are in the opposite direction. So the advantage with this process is that since the full billet is not moving, only the die is moving, so the friction losses at the surface of the billet and the container are very less. So just to summarize, whatever we have discussed is mentioned in these points. And in this case, the workload is also reduced and is not dependent on the billet length. So workload is basically the total load or the energy expended in doing the process. Since there is no movement of the billet, so length of the billet has no role to play in this case. So this is the main advantage. The friction force is much less in this case compared to the previous case. Next, we discuss about the hydrostatic extrusion. So hydrostatic, as the name itself is indicating, so there is a role of hydrostatic forces. So now to apply the hydrostatic forces, there has to be a fluid. So this fluid is basically a viscous fluid which surrounds the billet. In this case, the ram is not in direct contact with the workpiece or the billet, but it is this viscous fluid which surrounds or the workpiece here, and the force is being applied on this fluid by the ram. So please consider here there is no direct contact between the ram and the workpiece, but the ram here is used to pressurize this fluid, and in turn this pressurized fluid then compresses the billet from all the directions, thereby inducing plastic deformation. And once the material starts to flow, we get the extruded product out of the die, and here also the cross section area of the die remains constant. So in this case, the billet is slightly smaller than the chamber so that the fluid can perfectly surround it from all the sides. The chamber is filled up with the fluid and the pressure is transmitted. And in this case, you can understand since there is the fluid in between the container walls and the billet, so there is almost no friction in this case. So materials with extremely poor ductility, say example cast iron, they can be extruded using this method, and we can get pressure as high as 1400 MPa, that is very high value of pressure can be developed using this variant of extrusion process known as hydrostatic extrusion. Next we discuss about the lateral extrusion. So in lateral extrusion, the extruded product, it moves perpendicular to the direction of applied force. So means here we have the punch is the alternate name given to the ram. So here the force is compressive force is being applied by a plate on this billet. So this is the billet here, and the billet flows perpendicular to the direction of the applied force. So that is why the name is given as lateral extrusion, means it is lateral to the direction of application of the compressive force. So this process is very suitable for low melting point materials like lead. So example is lead. Next, we discuss about impact extrusion. So impact extrusion, it is a cold extrusion process in which basically the punch is pushed at a high speed and extreme force to the slug. So slug is basically this slug, blank, billet, workpiece, all mean the same. Just with the changing name of the process, the terminology for this thing changes. So please don't get confused. So slug here means the workpiece itself. So what is being done is, in this case, the punch is pushed down, maybe under the influence of gravity, or it is very high speed. So it is like an impact. So when it impacts, so because it is impacting the slug, so this basically pushes the slug downward, and since there is a backing die here, so the material flow takes place towards the sides of this moving punch. So this basically creates all these cans, collapsible uh, tubes. So all these products can be made using this impact extrusion process. And this is a cold extrusion process, means it is considered below the recrystallization temperature of the workpiece material. And thickness in this case is basically a function of the clearance. So clearance is basically this gap between the width of the slug and the width of the die. So this gap is basically known as the clearance. So clearance will basically tell the thickness or decide the final thickness of the product. So once the process is complete, so using this stripper plate, so basically stripper plate is basically an arrangement provided to remove the extruded product. Now we look at the different materials and what is the role of lubrication in extrusion process. So in extrusion process, all these dies which are made, they are again made up of die steels, which is basically an alloy of steel with presence of these some more elements which provide this property to retain their hardness and toughness at elevated temperature. Additionally, some coatings are also applied on these dies, which is one of the coating is zirconia is there. So this is the material of the dies which are used in the extrusion process. Next is the role of lubrication. So lubrication is basically playing a very important role, especially in hot extrusion. So you can understand the role of lubrication here is to control the friction between the surface of the billet and the internal wall of the container. So in general, for hot extrusion, glass, so this is specifically speaking as molten glass. Molten glass is used as the lubricant for stainless steel or doing for high temperature alloys. So that is basically used as the lubricant in this case. And sometimes a jacketing may also be provided additionally to minimize the friction. So next is just a schematic showing how the cold extrusion works. So cold extrusion is basically used to make several components for different automobiles like motorbikes, bicycles, etc. So in this case, the slug, which is formed from a hot rolled bar or a plate, is basically used in this case, and parts they can weigh up to say 45 kilograms and 2 meter can be made. So if we summarize the advantages of cold extrusion over hot extrusion, so in cold extrusion we get improved mechanical strength. So mechanical strength means the ability to bear external loads. So this is essentially because of the work hardening effect or the strain hardening effect which we have discussed in the beginning. Then in this case we also get a good control over the uh, dimensions of the product, since there are no additional layers of oxides being formed. So good dimensional tolerance and good surface finish is obtained. Since there is no heating of billet, so there is some energy is being also saved. And cold extrusion process are very cost competitive, and they are able to produce in mass production scenarios up to 2000 parts per hour. And if we talk of the die materials which are being used in case of cold extrusion, so previous one was with the hot extrusion, this is with the cold extrusion. So in this case, dies are made up of tool steels and cemented carbides. So cemented carbides are basically a variant is a composite in which you have the carbides which are being cemented in a metal matrix. So it is basically a metal matrix composite. So these composites we have discussed in the first module of this course, metal matrix composite. And these are basically expensive to produce, but they offer very high production rates with long die life. So die can produce several thousands of parts without losing its dimensional tolerance. And in case of cold extrusion, we have a different set of lubricants being applied, essentially to minimize the possibility of sticking of the workpiece with the tooling. So in this case, a phosphate coating is applied on the workpiece, which may be followed by soap or wax. So these are the lubricants being used in the cold extrusion process. Now we will look at some of the defects which come in the extruded products. So first defect is the surface cracking. So surface cracking is basically a resultant of a high temperature of the workpiece, which also may occur because of high extrusion speed. So high extrusion speed will induce high strain rates, which will be basically generating high surface friction. And because of this high surface friction, there may be cracks being developed on the surface of the extruded product. Second type of defect which is observed in case of the extruded product is chevron cracking, or also known as center burst. So this is basically an internal defect in which we typically observe an internal crack in the extruded product as a result of tensile stresses being developed. And generally high die angles, low extrusion ratios, and some impurities in the workpiece may trigger this type of defect. Next defect in the extrusion process is piping. So piping is essentially a formation of the sinkhole at the end of the billet. So in this case, this type of metal pattern may draw oxides or impurities towards the center. So all the oxides which are present on the surface, they may be drawn in the center of the product. And piping defect, it can be reduced by controlling friction, or it can be minimized by minimizing the temperature gradient. So with that, we complete about the extrusion processes, and next we move to the drawing processes. So drawing processes are basically processes used to make rods, wires, hollow tubes. So in drawing, essentially what is done, the workpiece is pulled through the die using tensile force. A tensile force is applied here to basically pull the workpiece from the die. So what happens in this case, the cross section area of the workpiece is typically reduced as it is pulled through the die, And the die angle, so this is the die angle, basically the angle which decides the drawing force, so force which is being applied to draw the workpiece through this die, and the quality of the uh, final product. So I see there is some network issue. So yeah, I think there is some network issue from maybe our end. So as the meeting is getting recorded, so you will get the recorded one without any lag. As of now, nothing much can be done because of the network issue here. So coming back to this topic of drawing, so the quality of the drawn product is basically influenced by this die angle, and various cross sections can be produced by having dies of different profiles. So A naught here basically indicates the initial cross section area, and AF is basically the final cross section area. Yeah, I think there is some lag is being there. So yes, there is some network issue from our end. Yeah, is it okay now? Yeah, I think there is some network issue from our end, and that is the reason why it is lagging. So I'm also recording. So in the drawing process, basically what is being done is so drawing process essentially reduces the cross section area of the product by pulling it through to a die. So you can see different configurations of the drawing process where we can produce even hollow tubes by using a specifically shaped mandrel in between. So this mandrel is generally stationary, and the process can be executed with or without mandrel in both the configurations. So drawing practice basically depends on the material and what is the cross section area that we want to reduce. So speeds in this case may vary between 1 meter per second to 2.5 meter per second for heavy sections. Thin sections, the speed can be almost 50 times, say 50 meter per second. And examples of the product is the wires which are used in musical instruments like guitar, etc., which are made up of high carbon steels. They can be produced using this drawing process. So this you will see a typical arrangement of a drawing process where we have a original reel containing the original wire or the coil, and then this is being pulled through or drawn through these dies. So this set of dies are having gradually reducing the cross section area of the product. So at the other end we have this receiving coil which wound it again. So as you can understand, since the cross section area of the product is going to get reduced, so eventually the length will get elongated in case of the drawing process. So dies, they have a very specific design which is developed by trial and error over several years. So these dies have this specific parameter which is known as the die angle. So the die angle usually ranges from 6 degrees to 15 degrees, and the we also have a bearing surface which sets the final basically diameter of the product. So this is basically different parts of the die which is used in the drawing process, and all the dimensions are set by trial and error. So different die materials which are used in this case include tool steels, carbides. For hot drying, cast steel is used, and for cold or fine drying, even diamond dies are used in many cases. So here you see this is a arrangement where you can see the actual die which is made up of tungsten carbide. So tungsten carbide is basically a ceramic which is having very high hardness and it can resist wear to a very significant extent. So this tungsten carbide may be replaced by diamond dies also, and they are encased in a steel casing here. So the wire will be passed from here and you will get a reduced cross-sectional wire from the other end. Then lubrication is generally a phosphate coating which is being used, and in many cases the die or the rod are immersed in the lubricant, or the surface of the rod may be coated with the lubricant. So several times metal coating may also be provided. So these metal coatings is of relatively soft metals like copper and tin. Now cold drawing has several advantages as discussed in other cold working processes. So which include smooth and scale free surface. There is sharp edges which are there. There is uninterrupted grain orientation in this case, increased tensile strength and yield point. We can save up to 75% of the machining cost by improving the productivity in this case. And these are some of the other advantages, like there is less machining cost, there are less manufacturing steps are there, and of course there is wide selection of the materials in this case. So this is basically a typical arrangement used for the drawing. So you will see that the drawing is done on several stations here. So the wire is gradually passed from one station to the another station, and the die which is being used, it is of gradually reducing cross-sectional area. And this is the arrangement how the coil which is being input is passed through a box containing a lubricant, and then it is finally pulled through this die here and then wound here on a separate block. So with this, I will stop for today considering the network issues. So if you can take up, I can take a few questions if there are from you. Yes, please. Are there some questions from your end?